Mike's hot. So.
Right on the radio, I think, right? I think Murray's the only other one found.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, I agree.
Hi.
Right on top.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh my goodness.
Good, how are you?
We got 1:30.
All right. It's now 1:30. Tuesday, November 21st, I'm gonna call the meeting to order, 1:30. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll do a roll call. President is Carl Cifarelli.
Maria Levatidis twice.
Robert Lewis.
Ed Moore, David Ruth.
Any public comments out there? He's, the one that is applying for the other spot, right?
Are you?
Yes.
I don't know if the comments are now or.
There's a section in here.
Yeah, there's a section for that, right? All right, did everybody get to read the, minutes from last month? So I'll,
Hold on. You guys have public comment. So do you have anybody who signed up for public comment cards?
I guess someone signed up for public housing.
So anybody that would like
Is there
to
remote, anyone remote?
remote? I'm not seeing anybody on remote.
Okay,
So I'm gonna make a motion to approve the minutes from last month.
Second.
Second. Any, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. So. The next item is the financial report.
Chelsea, did you see the financial report in here? I didn't see it in the agenda.
Laura, did she update it and put it in? Or did you guys, or we, no, we'll get it in next month. I know she was tweaking the, numbers. So you guys, because you guys meet twice a month, do you guys want them just once a month? Would that make sense?
Yeah, once a month should be fine.
Okay, do you want it at the first meeting of your month or the second?
Whichever's easier for you to get it. Is it accurate on the first of the month? First meeting?
We'll look at it and we'll get it scheduled for one of the two.
Okay, yeah. All right, so would you like to come up and introduce yourself? Sure.
Hello, folks. My name is Paul Leogrand. I heard there was a opening for a position, and I'd love to jump on board and serve. I think my application is up on the screen. I also put in the end of the application just some topics I'd like to discuss really quick as far as a little bit about my past experience in serving committees as such, and just what really parks and recreations kind of mean to me in the different areas I've lived. I hail from northern New Jersey. I was quite active up there in their Rotary committee, basically. So a little bit on the vision and commitment. I'm just going to read through the end of my application here. As a candidate, I bring a clear vision for the future of our parks and recreational spaces. I'm committed to creating inclusive environments that cater for diverse interests and the need of our community members to ensure that everyone can find joy in the fulfillment in our recreation offerings. I will work diligently to bring innovative ideas and programs to fruition while keeping the community's best interests at heart. Core components for me are collaborative approaches, again, my experience and expertise, fiscal responsibility, super important, community engagement also, right? Those are all the areas within my application at the end there. Few details on past experience. I think I emailed Georgia a little late on this, but again, a lot of experience in Rotary commitments. So up in New Jersey, we would have annual tree lightings. I ran those, annual Santa Land. We had a whole designated park area that we would transition every year to winter wonderland, kind of what we're doing here in the next few weeks. So we would have it for about 2 months up there. It was completely designated just to a little village that they made. It was great. Annual holiday parades, summer street festivals. I have a lot of experience with playground reinvigoration programs, right? So in the Rotary up in Denville and it's an ongoing program. I know that we're interested in kind of rebuilding the fun playground over here. That's awesome. Our program up there lasted about 5 years to rebuild our core playground in our big kind of, we had a complex similar soccer fields, baseball fields all together. In the center of it all was a playground. And we spent a lot of time pulling some youth groups together, the Rotary, the Chamber of Commerce. So I did a lot of work on funding for those events, right? And funding for those specific things through events that were really ended up being beneficial. So I'll have to share some pictures with you for those parks and events. Really good. Specifically on fundraising, did a lot of fundraising, of course. Joy Memorial Fund, that was an annual beefsteak dinner. We'd raise about $25,000 to $50,000 a year for cancer research. That was run through the Chamber of Commerce. Did a lot of AV planning and design for a lot of our events, right? So my background is in technology, so I bring that to the table as well. St. Clair's Harvest Festival, we had that was an annual event took place the middle of August, or middle of October rather. Between 50 and 75,000 annual visitors would come. So I was in charge of vendor management for that event on a yearly basis. So really fun there. Volunteer fire department carnival, that was an annual event too. We did not have a paid fire department, we were volunteer. So that was a great fundraiser for us. Did a lot of youth ministry work in the town as well. A lot of music festivals we would pull together for events. We also did a annual trip down to West Virginia called Operation Appalachia. We were the biggest group in New Jersey to go down there. We go down there for 2 weeks in the summertime, build houses or redo access for people in need. So a lot of fun there. That's just about it. You have any questions for me?
Are you a musician yourself?
I am. So I actually went to school for music education. So I'm a drummer by trade, but minored in piano performance. So all the music events, I'm super excited to help out with that any way I can.
Well, you would be the third person involved with music, because so is that.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. Cool. Yeah, I love it. I wish I could make it more of a full-time commitment, but I work from in home office too, so.
Can I ask which community do you live in?
Yeah, West Haven, over in West Haven.
You talk a little bit about what you're actually doing now, your job and your technology. I think that's a real plus.
Yeah, sure. So I worked for a firm, I've actually since 2007, up in New Jersey called Millennium Systems International. And we develop software for spas and salons and med spas. We're worldwide. I am on the, I'm what they call a technical account lead. So I'm on the deployment side of things. So when a new company wants to buy our software, and the software itself does everything from POS management to ringing out clients to inventory management for backend, employee management for ratings and all that stuff. So I'm on the deployment end. So our multi-location clients that are interested will basically go to me, and I'll spend about 3 to 5 months as a typical project to get them through and up and running with the software. So we were lucky enough in the pandemic my company went fully remote. My wife's a teacher who now teaches down in Collier County. But we were lucky enough to go fully remote, so I was able to come and I work out of my home office now. Yeah, it's great.
Welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
You have any kids that are involved in any sporting activities right now?
Not yet. No. Not yet.
Can we take copies, Jeff?
Well,
Can we take copies for you? For them?
No? Awesome. Hey, I'm really excited for the consideration. You know, I look forward to serving any way I can, any way I could help. I'd love to participate.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
for coming.
Thanks.
Does it require a motion to bring them in or?
So
automatically?
I'd ask,
This is-
this is Daniel Potter, Public Works Director. I'd ask that you hold off because we do have other applications that were still under consideration. Bobby actually just brought me one. I'd like to get that person in here and in front of you to introduce themselves as well before you make any decisions.
I thought he was the one.
While we're on the note of committee members, I also wanted to bring up Mr. Vertrees' lack thereof of attendance, and maybe there's a motion behind replacing that person as well.
Yeah. Everybody want to make.
I would make a motion.
I would second that motion.
That'll make what, two then we need,
Correct.
Susan and him,
Yes.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 How many applications do we have?
Right now, 2 that I'm aware of.
Potentially a third.
Potentially a third.
I spoke to somebody 2 days ago and they had a question about the application, so I think they're out sick, and so I know that she was going to fill it out and submit it as well.
Yeah, somebody reached out to me too from Stony Brook, that they are filling out the application. And they were having like issues with something else. I don't know if it's the same person, but this one left it inside my mailbox. That's why I ran over here, because it's like I'm not the post office, but sure, I'll run over and deliver this.
How long should we wait on this?
I would say by your next meeting.
So next meeting.
Next meeting, 2 weeks.
Okay.
Well, I asked at the previous meeting, we said we're going to discuss it on this meeting. If we are going to take a break for Christmas, since it's a high travel season, I told them I'm not going to be here, so.
For the whole month?
When is, yeah, by the way, 15. This,
Right.
in December, so 15 January. So,
Yeah.
So technically, the next meeting would be the 5th of December.
Okay.
We stuck to the
So
2
we
weeks.
could do
Oh,
it
the 50th,
and then we'll,
yeah.
and then we'll skip the second meeting.
another, something I would like to bring up, because a lot of people sign up, but maybe they're not aware of the hours that we're holding our meeting, because it's during business hours. Maybe that is a problem for a lot of folks. Maybe we should make that clear to the applicants before we approve or disapprove someone. Because if someone is not able to attend at the day and time that we meet, then why come?
That sure would be one of, like, would you have a problem meeting at 1:30 on a Tuesday?
I've already scheduled it out moving forward, assuming hopefully that I can join you all.
Right. So that should be one of our
That's right.
standard questions.
That should be, I feel that should be a question on inquiry before we approve anyone and then they are not able. We run into the same problem by the other folks.
I agree. Yeah, I had a neighbor that wanted to sign up and I,
Me too.
you know, I let her know that it's meetings during the day and
Yeah, give it those.
Me too.
Alright. So the next item up for discussion, the Winter Fest event update.
All right, I've been working with Randy to coordinate our contract specialist PIO to start facilitating all of this, just giving you a broad strokes of what's going on. We've got mechanical rides that are gonna be, locked in and ready to go. Bounce houses, winter games. We're looking at 3, possibly 4 trucks, food trucks right now. Face painting and tinsel. We're bringing in Santa and the Grinch. Yeah, so the Grinch will be on site. Bands and choirs from the schools, and then the sheriff's office, small buggy, robotic dog, some items that they're bringing in as well. And then the fire district is doing the Santa arrival. So,
Does the police, they bring in their, ice cream truck with them,
Randy, do you know if they're bringing the ice cream truck from the fire department? I don't remember. I thought that you said they weren't.
Yeah, the sheriff's office said that they weren't available for this event.
Contact the ice cream place here, because he asked me, if he could do some events. He has a truck for ice cream. Ice cream vendor right up the street.
Have you done that, Randy? I know I haven't.
We reached out to Scoop Me Up and I believe it's Pelican Snowballs. They're both Gateway owned businesses and they both are in attendance for the event.
Okay.
excellent.
So you'll start seeing some wonderful signs displayed across all of Gateway. Well, at least in the common areas and the amenity areas. We've got them all as of yesterday and today. We've got them here at the soccer park and out at the pool. So there's a new signboard that we put up that we'll be able to use in the future to allow people to see when we're going to start holding some of the events based on the event calendar that I brought before you last go around.
Yes.
When I will be there, when do you give us instructions of where we need to be or what we need to do? Is that?
So Randy, you
Are
want
you
to speak
putting
about
it
the
up?
schedule and the volunteers?
Yeah, so I was gonna have this available to everyone by the end of the week, but then I realized that the schools are out, so I was gonna have the tentative program and then the different activities, so that will probably get to you guys by Monday. Tentatively. But I do have like a broad schedule, but again, the performances and the duties haven't been assigned yet.
But it's coming shortly.
Yes.
Any other questions?
That's great.
Alright, so the next item up is gonna be the dog park and fun park layout.
So the LDO was, we're submitting for the LDO to be able to do the type A, type B LDO for the minor works of moving from this park over to where the fun park is at. And really all we're waiting back for right now is to get from Tetra Tech the setbacks from the fence line and allow us to take this picture right here and make it come to life, right? Having a small dog park and a large dog park, much like what we have here mirrored with the very bare minimum upgrades. There's some minor upgrades with like water. Again, still trying to get electric pulled out to this area for the key fobs for entry. That's about the extent of it, other than moving and relocating the items that are already over here, pavilions, chairs, desks, or not that, benches, over into the new outlined area right there in red.
So just to chime in real quick, we had a very good meeting with Lee County Community Development. They are confident that this should be a pretty quick process. It's just a matter of getting it submitted and then firming up all of those quotes that we worked on with Maria over the summer, and getting those contractors mobilized and making sure that they get the appropriate permits under that LDO. So we're making forward progress and we'll keep you guys posted.
I have some comments about the location of the dog park as outlined in red. Where it's currently located in the northeast corner impacts 7 houses. And they may not like, the impact of having it there. I would strongly suggest moving it down towards the south and butt it up against the big open fields there, because then it will only impact 3 houses. The volleyball court can disappear, the sand volleyball court can disappear and go to the commons eventually. What currently exists as the basketball court can be made, you could put benches there, awnings there, and then that could be the gathering place for people to sit and, enjoy what they usually do, card games, reading, sitting. Because the basketball court eventually will also be moved to the commons. So I think it makes more sense to move it up against that other field, which is empty. And it'll have less impact on homes.
We went on location and I went with Chelsea too, and we looked at all the options. My initial thought was exactly what you're saying right now. However, we can't, in order to make that happen, we would have had to demolish the current playground, demolish the existing basketball court, and make everything disappear. So we would be completely out of those. And
Well, you don't need,
until,
you don't need to demolish the basketball court because it's a flat surface.
it's not in good standing, so you can't use it as it is. You can't relocate something and put it in something that's in disrepair already.
Well, they have companies that can come out and resurface it.
I understand, but again, we would have to be without until we build the new ones, and that is a very, very long time. No playground, no basketball for that period of time. And also, in the plans is to provide wherever you see the line that borders the homes, we are going to provide hedging. And we're actually, for lack of a better term, doing them a favor, because a lot of those homes don't have anything. They have no privacy right now. It's wide open. So we're going to provide fencing with hedging, plus the fence that's going to be on the inside. We're really only impacting 4 homes. And quite honestly, I don't think the dogs make so much noise as they complained before about the basketball court. I think it's gonna be a blessing for them.
This
In
is,
the long run.
I want to comment on this as a dog owner. That's full sun. There's hardly any shade there at all. And we have 2 big, beautiful shade trees by that park. And if we can utilize the natural, surroundings, it makes sense, because my dogs are gonna get hot. I know everybody else's dogs are gonna, get hot, and they're not gonna run nearly as much. And if we have shade provided for them, they're gonna play.
And it butts up against the parking lot. So where are you going to put park benches and, little awnings for the people who own the dogs? Where are they going to sit and gather?
There could very easily be, where the playground is now, there's those 2 giant trees. You can't really see them here. But we could put the benches right under those trees. That would be ideal for us, the dog owner.
Again, we looked at it, and this is also, you have to consider the soil. It sort of dips in the middle there,
Right.
and there's better drainage up on this side where you see it marked now. Also, on this side, it's going to be easier to create the gates and more economical for them to make the entrance here with a concrete pad. Also, we had received quotes for a 10 by 20 concrete pad, which is gonna be like a big gazebo covered area. And we're also going to plant, we can plant more trees and such for shade. So there are shaded areas. It's not going to be like out in the open like this. There was a Chelsea, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we had circulated a plan in one of the previous meetings that showed all that.
Yeah, that was a rough draft plan, and keep in mind too, that we have to, the current dog park, you access it by fob. So we have to get electrical out there. We've got to get, internet out there for connectivity to the fob system. So what is proposed is staff believes is least impactful to the area. Now, keep in mind, you're really only talking about some fencing. So if you want to extend it at a later date and make it a larger dog park, you can do that.
Yeah, Robert Lewis here. I mean, I respectfully still disagree with that. Currently, the volleyball court is not used very often. It has a whole bunch of weeds in it. And so its loss is not going to be a big impact. With respect to the playground for the kids, there is already a playground up at the Sherman Soccer Complex. So if people want to go with their kids and play on stuff, it already exists. So the loss of the playground is not going to have a major impact. With respect to the basketball court, you only have one basket there, not even regulation. And I don't think that removing the basketball court is going to have any impact to the community. And to put it up by the parking lot, I don't think that's an appropriate spot. I still remain that I would move it to the south part, butt it up against the open field, remove the sandy area for the volleyball, convert the basketball court to a place where people can gather. There is shade there. And I'm not worried about loss of the playground because we already have an existing playground. That's my opinion.
So Bob, that's a good point. Keep in mind too, if you want to remove anything, that's going to cost, we're going to have a contractor to demo that. And we have to make sure we're ADA compliant. So any pathways to connect to this dog park, we're going to have to construct.
Well, you have between the basketball court and the end of the parking lot, you could put your handicap parking on that end, and then they have that path that they can go right to the basketball court. It's all paved. And you could, if you want to go to a less expensive way, as opposed to just resurfacing the entire basketball court, you could do crack seal.
I know drainage is going to be the biggest point of concern because that, like Maria said, that drain in the middle of that field. And that's why we took the time over the summer to go out and do a field verification. And honestly, we could put this plan together and the county say, that's not going to fly. But like I said, this was the least impactful that we determined, the easiest to implement. We're not required to put a landscape buffer. That did come out of our meeting with the county, but of course we want to, to help aid in those, would you say 7 property owners, Bob? And ultimately, if in the future, if the board and this committee want to repurpose or change anything where the volleyball court is and the basketball court, we could do it then. But ultimately, we're trying to get this moved. That way we can get the ball rolling with the expansion of the parking lot at the soccer complex.
And where's the restroom going to go?
There is no restroom proposed.
That's going to be a very big detriment because currently where the dog park is located now, there's a restroom. And I think moving the dog park and which is going to be a very populated area, not having a nearby restroom is going to be very problematic.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I go to the dog park every day, and nobody uses those restrooms. I mean, it would be convenient if it was, there, but honestly, I don't see that as an issue. I think in my mind, the biggest issue is not using those beautiful trees for shade. But again, I understand.
Initially,
This is fast, this is easy, it can get done, and we can expand later.
And Ed,
I had exactly, Chelsea can tell you, my initial plan, exactly, when I went and looked at it, I'm like, perfect. 2 big trees, ample shade, perfect. And I had that also exactly what you're saying, both of you right now. That's what I thought initially. But when we looked at the land and looked at the access and the most efficient way to relocate it quickly without having to tagging all those expense on, in addition to taking away the basketball and the playground and all that, it won out. But again, like Chelsea said, might not get approved, but I think that is our least and cost location there. And we can certainly, we're putting better shade, more benches. It's going to be more efficient for sure. But the big trees, okay, maybe they're smaller trees. We can plant smaller ones.
Believe that has to go through the expense of putting up awnings.
We are. The quote that I got was either a 10 by 20 or 12 by 20 pad for just the one large picnic area. So there's going to be a little shade.
And I just want to clarify, you can tell me if the bathrooms, it's something that my recollections, the board wasn't going to do it this year. But it is something that within the next few years, it will be implemented. So it was like a phase, move, get the basics out there, definitely get the trees. I think they even mentioned about getting the trees in the hedge now, so they start growing even before, that wouldn't require anything. And then later on with usage to have those bathrooms there, because there was also going to be a location of the gardens, which would have needed for that. So it's just phased out. So it's not a flat no. This is the beginning. And I do have to agree 100% with Ed and Maria. Originally, I visited the site with Chelsea, and I think I visited once with Maria. I'm like under the shades. I think I even mentioned that to Ed, under the shades. Then I saw the drainage, and it was a very dry summer. The property slopes to the centers, and then from the side. The last thing I want is you guys, the dog users, to use it when we do actually have rain, because it'll be pure mud. So I totally thought the oak trees there, great idea, and then I went like this, and I went like that, and I took the map and I was like, oh. So the amount of, so then it's a much bigger project if we had to regrade all that area, and even if we could do that. So I support the original oak trees, or to be perfect. But then I think now, there's nothing that stops you guys from thinking, okay, let's go ahead and do the hedge now, because it can be smaller, it will grow, add trees. Because I don't think that's going to change. Because if it's in the center of your park, you put it here and here. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, start now so they can get.
I also like the idea when I spoke with the contractors too for to get the quotes. It's much easier from here to create the handicap access and the concrete pad that the entrance will be going into the dog park. It's easier for the dog park owners as well, and it's much more lit on this side than it's on the other side, the area. Not saying that we cannot add more lighting, but it's safer. I think the layout overall is going to be great. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With respect to the depression towards the south side, 5 to 6 truckloads of dirt will take care of that. We can just grade it and reseed it.
It's a drainage, so it's not,
It-
it's a drainage. It's a required drainage area, either a wet, dry retention pond, which I think at one point it gets that, so it's permitted to be that way, so any changes to that, you would have to go with the county, so it's a much bigger thing than that, and it's going to be a bigger delay on it.
So,
Yes.
Right here,
in-
right here.
Right here, yep.
On there where I'm circling with the cursor, there's a stormwater grate. And it is meant to be able to take water flow from this amount of topography and slope. And it's permitted at that. So as soon as you start changing the slope and the grade of this area, you're gonna go into more permitting issues because you're gonna have to relocate and re-elevate that storm drain.
I went there multiple times, and if you go and walk it, you're going to see that this area up top here, where the red marker is, that I don't know, what is that, north, south, whatever it is. That is the highest elevation,
Yes,
even
it
from the other side,
It
because the trees are.
Correct.
So I think it's going to be the best spot, the driest spot.
Mhm. Yeah, you are right.
Well, and it's the
Because
closest to your utilities as well. So it's the
Mhm.
closest to an electrical and it's the closest to where we can tie in and put a water meter in for fountains and dog water bowls.
At one time, this is Dave Ruth, at one time we were talking about, how we were gonna separate the dog park from these houses. And I'm still concerned about, looks like 6 houses to 7 houses that I'm sure these people have never been talked to about this dog
Oh,
park.
they have been,
They have been, and they have the opportunity.
You've talked to them,
I have talked to them.
and they're not having a problem with the dog park being in their backyard.
No, because they all have dogs.
Okay.
And
I mean,
also,
just-
we giving them a little access.
We were talking about one time about the earth berm and then hedges on top of that, so you can't see the dog park. But now we're just talking hedges.
I think if you just have,
No.
I think if you just have Lucy's there.
Right.
That's,
You're not.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you, hedges, clusias are hedges.
Yeah.
So if you put a line of clusias, they grow 8 feet tall. And then you have the fencing on the inside, you're actually creating a better barrier against these homes now. With the dog park than they ever had, that's what I'm saying. It's going to give them great privacy, they don't even have to fence their yards. Yeah, they have absolutely nothing now. I went multiple times and I put so much thought into that and, I think it's gonna be great for them. And we also opened it up the first time that we started talking about this, correct me if I'm wrong, months ago. We heard over the grapevines that people had a lot of issues, but then nobody ever showed up.
Yes, the one was emailed.
Right.
Always,
No, right,
understanding that we said, come on in, nobody showed up.
nobody showed up, so
They
they
had an
have
opportunity to.
many opportunities.
I pointed out to that woman, because I see her every day on the walks, that it's not the dogs in the dog park that are barking. It's the dogs in the houses as we walk by with our dogs that are barking at our dogs. So that, that is their problem. That's not our problem. Whether we're walking our dogs or whether a dog park is there. But the houses that this current plan butts up to, all of those people, with the exception of, I think, the kind of one in the top corner, I've not spoken with them, but everybody else I've spoken with, and they're on board. At least today.
Look, the
The
dog
wind
park
may
is
blow.
not open late at night, so to
Correct.
me,
Yeah.
they're going to get the most peace and quiet out of anything that would go in that location.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah,
Well, so as long as we can add on in the future and, do things like that, I would be comfortable in presenting this to the dog park owners. That's my biggest deal, because they're gonna say, what?
I also met with the lady that sort of represents the
Right.
dog park,
Sure.
at home, Cheryl. And I shared the plans with her and we actually talked about it and talked about it later, fundraising and maybe to ads, but that's to be talked about later, and we're a little bit ahead of. But making it much better than it is now with
Right.
more toys and games for the pets and everything.
Yeah.
So I think, and she was on board, so I think we're good.
Can I make a suggestion? If landscaping and shade is a concern, why don't we get this project, let's get it done. And then afterwards, we can come out and we can assess and we can get feedback from the users of the dog park. And if they want to, add additional oak trees or additional shade structures, that's something that we can let them know, hey, we're open to feedback. And, we can assess that at the time.
That's a great idea. Love it.
That's what I had talked about with Cheryl when I met her. That her and I can have open communication. When the relocation happens, we can look at where everything goes and what to add, what not to add and
Makes
such.
sense, and
And also with that, yeah, absolutely.
in your diagram, could you guys diagram the, what's it, is that the north and east side, you know, where it butts up to these homeowners? Could you do something to kind of imply more of a hedge barrier there instead of just straight line tape? It's on here, because it softened it a little bit and make it look to, if you're gonna show this to homeowners, if you were showing this to me and I have a dog too. Okay, I would be going, you're lowering my property value, one, by putting a dog park in my backyard. Okay, you know, and I could just keep on going, but we don't need to. The bottom line is, I think it's great that you talk to them and whatever, when you go back, instead of just saying the words, we're gonna hedge it, and we're gonna do this, you know, we're gonna soften this a little bit. And, you know, somehow just how you diagram it, I guess, a little bit stronger.
It'll be prettier once we get Tetra Tech on board.
Once you get them on board, and then the goal is to also go in beforehand and plant the hedges and give them time to grow. So as soon as I can get them in, I've got a proposal that I'm looking at right now for installing the hedge line prior to doing any of the other work. So that we can get them in and get them matured out.
Yep.
That also saves us money because we can buy them at a smaller size and allow them to mature out and throughout the year while we're trying to do this project. So a little bit of money saved there, but at the same time, get them in and people can start getting acclimated to it.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to take some better pictures.
Thank you. No one else has anything on the time? All right, so the next item up is gonna be the park rules and regulations.
All right, for the,
Get a chance to read them again.
we got the correct version in there this time.
Yes.
Yep. I've received a little bit of feedback to probably standardize it a little bit more. Some minor feedback and adjustments, but beyond that, it is pretty locked into what I think it's going to be in the future. So is there, you want to go through it? We'll walk through it and you guys can give me any comments or any feedback as we go through. And I can make that one last revision before we publish it. So didn't transpose that very well in here. Don't mind the error bookmarks. Those are fine in the actual Word document.
That's a computer issue.
That's a computer
My-
glitch.
my part.
All right, so there's the overview and it starts with the dog park.
Okay, so one big thing that I've noticed with all the rules, and this is like blanket. The word no is in there so much. Instead of telling them what they're not allowed to do, it's just like kids. You need to tell them what they are allowed to do. Like dogs only. And then you can say no other animals. That may be just a nitpicking thing to me, you know. But rules, if you tell people what to do, they will do it.
I disagree.
Okay,
I- Have you ever gone to an airport that says what you're allowed to do first? In the signs, it says no access, no entrance, no. I think, especially in this day and age, you need to be very cut and dry. It would work for you and me because you would obey the rules anyway. But it wouldn't work for a lot of other people, and that's what we're trying to deter, I think. So,
I just had.
respectfully, that's just my opinion. Just because I'm very familiar and I enforce rules a lot in my job too. In my experience, the no has to go first. It's for you all to decide.
Yeah, I think the no should come first also.
Keeps going.
No comments on the dog park.
The bathrooms. Yeah, okay. The restrooms are available behind the Sherman the Sherman soccer concession stand. That's the farthest bathroom. There's a bathroom that's closer. I mean, that's available, but for the dog parks, there's one that is, I just don't know, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's what you say, like the rear of the soccer fields.
There you go. I mean, that's one if I guess we could say residents out there behind the concession stand, in addition. The other one is like right off the dog park, you know? Right. Just a suggestion.
But this will change though, once we get the new build.
Yeah. There's no bad, big issue.
Find one of those.
The Thursdays, what is that, like a landscaping thing on Thursdays?
Which section?
Just the hours of operation. Thursdays is only noon to sunset. Is that maintenance?
Typically maintenance, and it's normally some sort of pest control application.
Gotcha.
I know you wouldn't think it after walking through there with the fire ants, but
Okay.
it gets applied. Yeah. Rolling down.
You want to add?
You were very, you used from all of them, like, what is the average, 2? Do we have residents that have 3 pets? So there you're restriction to 2, but since you're a user, you can say, you know what, there are some, and 3 is not a problem, then this may be the time to add.
Yes, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I
Should change.
So if you,
Yes.
but. I'm trying to, I don't use the dog park, so I'm trying to read it as I never saw the document. If you go up a little. Dog park, okay.
2 dogs per adult, it says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right here.
Right.
That needs to be changed to 3 because there's plenty of people that have 3 dogs.
Okay.
And
As a general rule of thumb, when you guys are reviewing these types of rules and policies, who's enforcing them? And is what you're proposing truly enforceable? Just keep that in the back of your mind.
You guys have anything that needs to be added? People that use the pool a lot? Mr. Ruth,
No,
Alia?
The register must be registered with USDB, hold on. It says the Gateway Commons pool restricted to Gateway residents and their guests. Needs to be updated, because they can purchase a pass, right?
Is that new?
Who can purchase pass, anyone?
We can press it. Okay.
Anybody can purchase a pass, so,
Oh,
so there's a fee, the same as at the dog park. So Flavia Walsh from Magnolia Lakes. So if I live in Cape Coral and I will want to, but I work here, I want to utilize the dog park, I pay the $100, I think, and then I bring all the stuff and I use it. So the board had adopted a fee schedule, which include non-residents that would like to use the pool. They pay, and I believe they pay $120 a year for themselves. And then there's a family was a different price. I don't recall off the top of my head, but I guess the language that on the pool should have mimicked the same language that's on the dog park.
Mhm.
Residents, registered owners, or registered, it's just a suggestion.
Yes.
Or membership owners. Wasn't aware.
No, you ready for me to scroll down?
I think we can scroll.
Sure, this whole town park will need to be updated more once we.
Yeah, no better.
So if a bunch of my buddies who are musicians want to just go over to Fun Park some afternoon and have an impromptu music jam together, do we have to do a liability waiver?
Which fun park?
The fun park, one over here. The fun park behind the church.
I would check with the neighbors.
Oh, it says right there, it's in the fence. Yes.
What was it?
But if it's just a bunch of.
But if
people
it's just a
together,
bunch of
yeah.
friends, you, but if in friends, I think that was the book, like, you can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, so if you call me and you say, hey, I'm gonna bring my guitar, or you bring your sax and you bring your drums. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because at the last meeting, there was some controversy as to whether or not that constitutes a group activity.
Well,
I think it
Organized. Is organized.
including marketing and
Okay.
all of that.
Thank you, scroll.
Is the linear park going to have, or does it have, I think it has, dog stations?
No,
No.
it doesn't have anything. Last time, correct me if I'm wrong, but Chelsea, remember, I asked if we can install even lower things. Or such as activity for kids, and you said that they initially. The power company said no to anything.
Correct. So they had rules, they had outlined their guidelines. So adding or modifying to anything beyond the actual pathway was pretty much off the table. But Chelsea did also say that she would try to take it back to FPL and try to get, the wish list, but
Right.
understanding that up front, that the answer was no, and we were already starting from a position of no.
Exactly.
It wasn't that we weren't willing to try to go fight for it or to justify it.
And then I brought up that South County Park in Punta Gorda has their disc golf right below the FPL power lines. So Chelsea was supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she will check.
And the gardens. Scroll.
Can you scroll back down a little bit where it talked about what type of motor vehicles? So it says electric powered bicycles are permitted. What about motorized scooters and hoverboards?
I'd imagine that it would fall into that motorized category. It's an electric vehicle. It sounds like that it would be something to a small effect, an electric, that it would be allowable. If it was something that was a motorized combustion engine, it doesn't sound like it would be.
Well, it's saying electric powered, you're specifically saying electric powered bicycles are permitted. So my question is, what about electric power scooters and single wheel hoverboards?
I would say for the purposes of writing the rules, it would be no. But again, what Chelsea said, who's enforcing this,
Okay,
right? And who's got the power to enforce this? So I would start from a position of no on these. To say, hey, this is where we've outlined, there is the one exception of a bicycle with the electric power. Because once you give an inch, everybody's gonna take a mile, so.
So on that one, I recall the attorney, the only reason why the electrical powered bicycles were permitted, but not to be used as an electrical powered bike while doing the linear park, because if it's an item, they would have to pedal. So you can have them there, but when you're using it, you're using it as a regular bike. The other items that you ask, there's no turn on and off switch. So maybe that just needs clarification. Electrical power bikes are permitted when used and,
From you, yeah, permitted.
but that was the reason why that was not allowed, because somebody came in and they're like, oh, I don't turn it off when I go there and just when I get gateway. Like, okay, that's okay, but I think that clarified that a little more.
well, if you want to use Sanibel City's policy regarding that, their ordinance, they say pedal assist is permitted. So you cannot technically, to my knowledge, have a fully electric bike where you just sit and hit the throttle, they only permit pedal assist. So if you want to be a little more accurate to what you just described, we want to put in power assisted bicycles or pedal assist.
I think you can give feedback on that, because I don't know. I just going by what I recall was, always had of during that time. Okay, didn't.
We good? Yep. Scrolling down.
I mean, for me personally, Robert Lewis here, that I have with park closed after dark. I like going over there to watch rocket launches and astronomy stuff.
And that's the end, right?
Yeah, that's the end of that one.
Do you have any other comments?
This is Dave Ruth. I have something on the pool. I'm not quite sure how to put it in. There's like a part that says no rough play, throwing of balls or toys in the pool or in the deck area. We've managed to put a basketball court in that area, and the people who can't shoot a basketball are hitting people in the head. And there's the older people wanting to fight the younger people, and I'm still over there dunking, so I don't care. But it's sometimes it's a problem. It's a great, I think, a great asset to the pool. It gets kids there, it gets parents there, and people, and everybody's talking about it. But the kids can jump up, and the bigger kids can jump up and hang on the rim. And when they do, they pull the whole thing into the pool. So, it's a tricky thing. I don't know if there can be a rule for something like that or not. I know that they don't, at the beginning, they didn't want kids throwing balls and hitting kids. Now because of the apparatus we have in there, it happens. So how do you write that into
I think that's more to the enforcing of whoever is a pool attendant.
there's nobody there to enforce it.
Yeah, there's no.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no one
Owner on
on
the
the pool.
patient.
It's like if I'm there or
It's a big problem.
if she's there or he's there, we're going to have to, referee that. And, it doesn't, people just ignore it, it's like, I'm not, I came over here to swim, I didn't come over here to fight with parents. So I don't know if there's a way to write something in, but before we wanted no balls, things being thrown. Just leave it the way it is and.
I could, Alder man, just, in regards to the rules, I keep on asking myself too, as far as the enforcement goes, not only for the pool, but especially in the pool. None of these are enforced, right? So I think that's absolutely the biggest issue. Because I like Dave, I think that the basketball hoop has reduced down the amount of ball throwing in the pool, because now they have like an area, which is nice. However, there's no one monitoring. There's no regulation there. And it also does cause, and I've seen it a few times as well, it's caused a safety issue where it can be pulled down. And there's however many gallons of water in the bottom of that. If that whole thing is pulled into the pool, you're gonna have a big issue there. So it's definitely a concern.
Doesn't that kind of fall under the no rough play? I mean, if you have yourself from that, that's rough playing. That's not what you should be doing.
But that's like standard basketball stuff, though. I mean, that's what they do.
No, but it's hard to, if we have the rules and there's no one there to enforce them, I mean,
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, there's no one there to
Right.
stop anybody from
and
doing
there's
it.
no one there to say no.
One of us
don't
had to
do
go.
that.
We want the basketball.
Right.
As a former basketball, but we like basketball.
Right.
Kids love it.
Yeah,
Right? But if I'm here and I'm shooting and I miss and I hit you right in the face, you're gonna want a rule in here for that not to happen again.
I don't think that.
It's
Never happened.
Three times.
Yeah,
You know.
I know you've been using the tool for a long time. I haven't, but I used to. Do you think there's a benefit of going back to how it used to be and attending a person there the entire time? Or just the way it is now, randomly there? 'Cause,
Well, I know that.
years back, we used to have somebody that was clock in, they stayed there all day, people wanted to activate their card, they did it there on the spot, the person would have checked the bathrooms once an hour, whatever, check the pool. There was a person for that, and we don't have that anymore.
Right.
So the more I listen to
Paul.
Paul and you guys, there's a lot of rules, then there'll be nobody there, so we're creating paperwork. But then we don't have a person there to not necessarily force, but to assist, to guide.
I always liked it.
I mean, when I used to the pool 20 years ago, I thought it was great, it was beneficial, there were things that I needed, and either it was Natalie or, Holly, they were literally, they were the pool ladies, Peter, so they were there, so maybe it's something for you guys to think about for feedback for not this year, but the following year to have a staff person.
It works better in the evening when there is somebody there.
Can I chime in?
Sure.
So I just want to be clear, we do have staff members that do pop in and out. We have our opening and mainly our opening and our closing staff. We don't have somebody necessarily sitting there all day, every day like they used to, because those part-timers, and Daniel, you could chime in, they're flexing over to the Sherman Soccer Complex to help clean the bathrooms or paint lines. So it's not just one hat that they wear anymore. We're trying to cross-train and utilize them across multiple parks and rec facilities that we have.
Well, I think once the complex is built, I think you're gonna need somebody there. I mean, obviously, there's gonna be a lot of things to take care of and. I think there'll be a natural,
Evolution.
yes,
Right.
Yeah, once everything's built up.
yes.
Okay, so this is Robert Lowe's here. So question I have is, who owns the basketball net? Who is providing that?
The district paid for that hoop and I believe there are 2 basketballs that we have.
And who did you say?
The district.
District.
The district.
Okay, so playing devil's advocate here. So you have a basketball facility there. And you have a rule that says no throwing of balls as a rule. I'm an elderly person laying on a chaise lounge. I get hit in the face, break my nose, break a tooth. And the bottom line that says use pull at your own risk goes away because you are providing a basketball net and you have a rule that says throwing of balls is not allowed, which is contrary to the utilization. And so you would have, I believe you would have a liability exposure. So if you're going to have the basketball net supplied by the district and the balls supplied by the district, then you need to remove that.
Or just put in. No balls being thrown except designated basketball provided by the district and no hanging up basketball.
Okay, well, that would work.
You almost, if I could.
Yeah.
Sorry, we were just talking, and one thing that you might be able to do is where the basketball hoop is now, you could remove some of those chaise lounge chairs from right behind it and kind of spread out a little more. Where I think the placement of it now was with that intention, but I think chairs have been kind of brought back in front of that area, and people do need to walk through that area to get to the bathrooms on that side. So maybe a reevaluation of the location of that, would help at least for the time being.
This is Daniel Potter. I want to just inject another point to keep on the front of your mind. There's going to be a splash pad in that area in the near future. So that area is going to get a little bit more kid friendly. And specifically back in that area where the basketball hoop's at now and back into that back corner. Just for you to keep on the front of your mind.
Can I chime in too, Daniel?
Go ahead.
That's a great point, and Carlo, I think you hit the nail on the head. You specify, unless designated or provided by the district. But can we also note in here, I don't know how we enforce this, but do not use pool if you are ill with diarrhea. I mean, these were things that are out there right now that are either on a sign that we need to review. Are these really applicable? Can we enforce them? I don't know how to tell if Bob's going to the pool and if he's ill with diarrhea. I don't know that prior to. I hope we wouldn't find out, but how do we enforce that?
I believe that is a county, I can look it up, because I know the same thing, I think that's a requirement for the county signage. I think this is a blend from gateway services rules, plus what's required for the county to have it out there. I could be wrong,
Lee County DOH.
yeah, I'm looking it up now, and then I just want to clarify, we do have dog stations already at the FBLA.
Good time having those.
Good to know.
And that's thanks to your request of somebody kept just over and over in the corner there, we figured we just gave them the can.
That's nice. I would like to piggyback back to what you said, and I can't imagine adding the splash pad and not having a full-time attendant there. There will need to be an attendant next year.
Splash
I
pad?
hope I'm wrong, yeah, but I think that the more things we add, the more there needs to be someone there to curb the enthusiasm a little bit.
Possibility, definitely.
Not so much the enforcer, but maybe calm things down.
You guys will have to revisit that.
Revisit.
We experience-
Sure, there needs
How
to
many
be
people are gonna be there?
amendment to this.
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as we add something, there needs to be.
Yep.
Rules.
Yeah, things are gonna pop up there.
But I would add what Carla said, for sure, unless
So I imagine that the phased approach of how we're gonna go about these parks is gonna go behind and in tandem with the admin building, right? So the admin building's first and foremost. Once that's in, then everything else will kind of start following in a phased approach, because you'll have a DO and the DO is on that building, and then we'll have to amend the DO for the admin building to be able to put in these other amenities at that location. I think at that point, that's when we'll really need to circle back and assess what do we need to have on ground for personnel. So I'll leave it there. We understand that we're gonna have to come back. I think if I left pickleball courts out there alone and unattended, I would have fights every day. So there's gonna have to be some sort of presence in the future with the amount of amenities that we're looking to put into that area.
Exactly.
That's all that was on the agenda. I did want to make one caveat. I know that we left the last meeting and we had one more agenda item that I was supposed to go and chase down, but due to the fact that we're going every 2 weeks and I had 7 days to get an agenda locked in and published and posted. I'm still waiting for some feedback from the playgrounds, from our vendors that had given us some quotes for the playgrounds. I'm waiting on one vendor specifically, and it's for the dome. I think I got a hold of her and she's willing to give me the ballpark prices so that I can do a comparison for you, and I'll have that at the next committee meeting. So that was the only alibi that wasn't addressed from the previous meeting that was supposed to be on today's agenda.
So that's it. Anybody have anything else? For this?
It's the debrief one. A long time ago, I brought up, gateway employee benefits. There's a lot of people that work here, but they live in other places and, maybe there was an opportunity to get more people using the pool to give some of the people who work here an opportunity to have a pool pass or something, so they can bring their family over here on the weekends and stuff. So I just thought that might be an interesting idea just to throw out there. And I know we have you pay $150 if you want to be a member of the pool, but it would just be a benefit, I think. If I worked here, I'd like to, but I live in Cape Coral and I want to come over on a weekend or holiday or whatever, that I could do that and just be like the rest of the people who live here.
Hey, the benefit.
Is that
I
not
think
gonna-
it's a great idea.
I do too. I think that's.
No, I don't think it exists at the moment, but it's definitely a topic that could be entertained.
It doesn't exist. I know because I asked several people, I said, do you guys get a benefit to come to the pool?
Well, I know, I would love it. I'm from,
I think-
I live in Cape Coral, so.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, there are people
I think
who
that's a great idea.
live close to,
It's like Disney, right?
yeah, yeah.
So since we are go ahead.
You'll share that with the bigger, with the people that really.
Since one of our purposes is to make recommendations to the Board of Supervisors regarding Parks and Recreation, why don't you make a motion? And, to allow that, and then we will make, as a group, if it passes, make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors to adopt what we recommended.
I make that a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Fine.
Aye.
Thank you, Bob.
Very good.
It is.
All right, so the next thing is the member items and reports. There are none up, correct? No one has anything. All right, so the next meeting agenda. Date is going to be, what are we gonna say, December 5th? December 5th at 1:30 here. All right, so anybody else have anything else? All right, so the meeting's adjourned.
No,
14:41. Oh, sorry.
Agenda items for next meeting. What do you want for your agenda items for next meeting? I'll start
Oh,
with
well, we're gonna do
playground options and cost analysis.
Mhm. Anything else? For the agenda? Next meeting?
Talk about, if we're going to break, and maybe we should just make that like permanent break, yearly. Vote on that, maybe discuss and vote on that, like we did this summer, during holidays and all that. Maybe we just need to set those dates, revisit the year-round calendar on the next meeting. I would
Okay.
propose that to be discussed.
So do I hear a motion? Clear, distinct, specific
Motion.
motion.
I motioned
I'll
to
second.
discuss.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
So next meeting to review
Review the
Review.
schedule.
the annual schedule.
Holiday schedule.
I asked a question. This is Dave Ruth again. Are we ever gonna have meetings in this gateway community that will allow people to come that work? Okay, like maybe one meeting we have is 5 o'clock instead of 1:30.
Well, that's what the schedule next week, bring that up, and maybe we could do
Talk
like
about that.
2 a year or something, or
Yeah,
once a quarter or
because-
something like that.
Because there's a lot of people, just because they don't show up, that means that it doesn't mean they don't have ideas or input.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just give up and say, they don't have to listen to me anyway, so they don't come. And I'm always concerned with those people because once something happens and you see it and it's wrong, we're all gonna be taken into consideration for not saying anything. And also, they're just gonna be more disenchanted with the area, which I think they should be getting more in love with the area.
Exactly.
I would shoot for 7 o'clock, maybe quarterly or every 4 months. 5 o'clock, people are getting out of work. 7 o'clock would be better.
Well, let's.
Well, we'll do that.
Yeah, so just, let's think about it. See,
Any other agenda items?
Everybody's good then? All right, so the next meeting is gonna be December 5th, 1:30 here, and at 2:43, we're adjourned.